They just want you to sit in your chair and go, hip hip hooray, for the Western press and the Western narrative, regurgitating the same old, same old, same old, every single day, without this. Please watch the first series, the first 2 episodes, the second series. Look at that.
Absolutely fascinating.
And it was the first time the Beatles had really stopped being semi-professional almost.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Hope you're all with me tonight. Which is, it's all about what's going on around the Caribbean, Middle East, and Ukraine. That's what it's all about. And of course, Europe. What's going on in Europe and all those dopes that are ruining Europe. They're ruining legitimate voted people by unelected bureaucrats in Brussels, the likes of von der Leyen, the likes of Kaya Kallas, these idiots. And anyway, you've got to look at Zelensky, the most corrupt, if you call him a leader, and I don't call him a leader because he hasn't been voted in. He won't hold elections. He said, because we're at war. Yeah, all right, you're at war. So I don't call him a leader, I'm being honest, because apparently people want him out in Ukraine. The ordinary people want him out because they're fed up. And there's Zelensky, the ambassador to this country, the UK. And he's making a comeback. He's going to go over. Could be there now, I don't know, in Ukraine. He wants to become leader. But I'm telling you now, he's worse than Zelensky. He's worse. But getting back to the Zelensky yesterday at Mar-a-Lago, when he met Trump just brushed him off. No matter what, you were listening to the press conference, which didn't last long. And you could tell by the body language, really, of Zelensky, he never got what he went for. He got no arms, got no money, got nothing. And all as he got was, you better take the proposition by Russia. If you don't take it, you're going to lose everything. What I mean by everything, we could cut off, the Russians could cut off Odessa. Once that's cut off, he'll have no access to the Black Sea. And that's for trade. That's for trade. This is why I think Trump is saying, listen, don't take Odessa, because Ukraine will have nothing to trade with. And that's why I think Putin is holding back. But he said, if this fella doesn't come across with, with any concessions to us, we'll just take it anyway. Because that's what we're doing. We're taking everywhere now. I don't mean all of Ukraine. He doesn't want all of Ukraine. He just wants the oblasts, the Russian-speaking oblasts. But he's right on the doorstep of Odessa. Well, you should know that. So this is what it's all about. Everything is about that. But also you've got Trump. See, I don't trust Trump. I do not trust him. Because all this was set. Well, at Russia, when they had that particular meeting in Alaska, when they had that meeting, Trump and Putin put over what he wanted. So he said, yeah, this is what I want. These are the concessions. So Trump went along with it. And when he got back, he was listening to the likes of that Kellogg. Should never listen to him. Should never listen to him. Because he just told lies after lies after lies that Ukraine was winning. And he believed it. Trump believed it. But now he knows that they're being heavily defeated. Because he was even getting wrong, shall I say, the way they were losing men. And according to the likes of Kellogg, what he was telling Trump was that Russia is losing, over 1 million men, and while Zelensky, the Ukrainians have only lost like 200,000, 230,000 or something like that, which is the other way around. So they spun it like that, and he believed it. Trump believed it, because in his press conferences and whatever, he was saying that Russia are losing like 1 million soldiers, or have lost 1 million soldiers, and the death has to stop. Which is right, it does have to stop. No one wants wars in the 21st century, but then again, this fella's after the Peace Prize. How can you give anyone a Peace Prize who's surrounded, with armoured ships, big battleships and aircraft carriers and whatever? Venezuela. He's blockaded Venezuela. And he's told lies about Venezuela being like one of the main countries that drugs go through. He's forgetting about his own people, by the way, own Americans who live off the drugs, drug running, that is, coming in from everywhere by Americans. So he just wants to take over or go into Venezuela to put this phony Mossad and CIA puppet in. And that's that Mercado. That's Mercado. She's a puppet for Israel. So why does Israel want a stake in Latin America? Well, they've already got one fella there, Mealy of Argentina, who's Jewish. And so is this Mercado. She's Jewish. So it's not just to the river, to the sea. It's everywhere. And you've got now Netanyahu meeting up with Trump. And what he's going to say is, why can't we bomb Iran? They just want to bomb Iran, Israel. Now, if America said, no, we've had enough of you, I'll tell you now, Israel would never shell or try to bomb Iran. I'm telling you now. because Iran have got, they're sophisticated now, they are, with the weapons, they've got weapons there now, right now, that could destroy Israel in one fell swoop. But he needs America, he needs American backing. Netanyahu, that's why he's there today. And the White House, America. Let's see what you've been saying. Hi, Frank and friends, says Myra. Myra Page, hiya, Myra. Happy New Year to everyone, and to you, Myra. Pirates of the Caribbean starring Trump and Exit, yes. Which is absolutely ridiculous. They'd say Trump is just, he thinks he can, well, he does. He doesn't think, he's bullying countries that he could actually think he can take over. But it'll be a big mistake to go into Venezuela. Big mistake for him. And for America, by the way. For America. And the boss says the biggest media scam at the moment is the sick joke of Trump playing peaceman, with common stooge Zelensky, yes, so that the US corporations can turn Ukraine into their business colony, over the next 15 years. Now you've got Russia. Russia is they're going to landlocker. So there's nothing down for their BlackRock, really, because where Russia are concerned, they've got all the best minerals, the best farmland, the best of everything in these oblasts. God blimey, boss. Wales in a mess because of the masses who are willing to let someone else be the hero. Any intelligent person knows politicians lie to get power, and the masses may care, but can always blame someone. They're always blaming each other. We blame, don't we, ourselves? Callum, two fellas are currently in a meeting. One thinks these guys are planning to go into, yes. Yes. Good shout. Good shout. And Johan, good evening, Frank and Legends. Can't wait for the godforsaken year to end, but unfortunately, I think 2026 is going to be worse. Anyway, hope everyone as well. This is it. 2026, okay, we'll be in it this time next week, the new year. Normally, I always give out a message on Christmas Day, but I was talking to Jason, and he expected a message, Christmas message. He always does every year. And he said, why didn't you do it? I said, well, I was going to thank the people. I was going to thank the people on my podcast, for being with us and coming out with fantastic comments. That's what I was going to say. I was going to thank other people as well. I was going to wish them all a peaceful and Christmas period. It's a family thing. And then I was going to have the but, and then go on about people sleeping in doorways. That's what I was going to say. And then I was going to talk about Ukraine. I was going to talk about Trump and Venezuela. Latin America I was going to talk about. And I just said, I can't do this. As me wishing a peaceful Christmas, and I'll be coming out with all this thing, which is happening. I was going to mention Gaza. What's happening there? How can you do that on a Christmas morning? I just couldn't do it. Because we all think about these things. People with a brain cell, that is, and that's us. Other people just haven't a clue what's going on. Mind you, I've always said ignorance is bliss. People just haven't a clue what's going on in the world. And that's why I didn't send out a Christmas message. Myra. Hi, everyone. How you doing? Lindsay, even if Frank, hope you had a lovely Christmas. Happy New Year to you. And to you. It was very quiet, Linda, to be honest. It was very quiet. It was very, very quiet. Didn't go anywhere. Or anything. Can't stand him become across as fake. Becomes across as fake, says Lindsay Ellis. Do you mean Trump or Zelensky? Or the pair of them? Because they're all fake. Buonasera, Franco and chat. I read the activist Allah Abd El Fattah has apologised for his racist tweets, but I'm baffled why that doesn't work for the likes of Lucy Connolly, etc. You can't get rid of racism. Racism is always there. No one will get rid of racism. It'll always be there. You'll never get one race of people embracing the other race of people. I'm telling you now. No matter, in 1,000 years' time, there'll be racism. There'll always be. I'm afraid, Toscana. Ted's, even in Frank and chat, are you Ted? Are you Ted, mate? Good to see you, Ted's. Hi, Frank and chat, says my old mate, Steve Malone. How you stay? And Myra's saying hello to everyone. She's lovely, isn't she? So many dramas and films on TV which are anti-Russian at the moment. You wouldn't cocoa. You wouldn't cocoa. And that's what it is. Anything Russian. Anything at all. Whether it's a film. I'll tell you one thing here, and I was saying this I was talking to Anthony today about tomorrow night's show. And I was watching something. I was watching a documentary on Natalie Wood. And I'm going back before this SMO, before anything about Russia. Anyways, looking at this documentary, going back. And because I've always believed that she was murdered by her husband, Wagner. I always believed that. And a lot of other people believe it. Even two cops was in this documentary, and he said he murdered it. He murdered it. It's still open. It's still an open case. But anyway, it's said that the parents of Natalie Wood, given her a background, given Natalie's background, and her parents came from Russia. Right? Russia. So and her name, Natasha or something like that, but they kept Natalie. Anglicised the name, as you know. They anglicise all names. So anyway, I was watching something the week before last, and it said, and Natalie, they were doing a little thing about her, and it said, and Natalie, her parents came from Ukraine. Do you see the narrative? See, it doesn't fit the narrative, you see. Today's narrative. So you're right there, Steve. You just look at something and it's changing the narrative towards Russia. Anti-Russia, that is. Hey, Marty. Stay. And Ted says these bastards in power want to drain every bit of hope out of us. So we're constantly in low depressing. Yes, you're right there. But the mood swings as well, with nothing to look forward to. Well, they can get to fuck. These are always hoped. There's always hoped for a change. That's a very good point, because when you look at, I just had to do that on me. When you look at what's going on in the world, as you said, it drains the hope. And who's draining the hope? Let's just take Europe, for example. Unelected bureaucrats. And you've got to ask, who put these people in? This von der Leyen, who put her in power? And you've got the biggest diplomat in the EU, which is Kaya Kallas. She's thick. Hasn't a clue. And she's supposed to be the chief diplomat. Has she shown any diplomacy to Russia? Any sort of diplomacy? She just hates Russia. It oozes out of her. You could see that she's a Russophobe. And she's just got so much hatred. But if you look at her family background, you'll see why. You'll see why. The Germans, I'm not talking about East Germany, but especially the Western Germans, they hate Russia. Merz, for example, hates Russia. And you say, well, why does he hate Russia? Look at his family background. Look at his dad and granddad. Who were they? Then you look at von der Leyen. Von der Leyen. Or is it Ursula von der Leyen? Because she's corrupt. Remember all the deleted texts? I think she'll get impeached. It won't be long before she's impeached. And I hope that she gets brought before a court of law for what she's up to. Money laundering. But who put it in? I'll tell you who put it in. It was the WEF, the World Economic Forum. They put it in. And who are these people? Who are they? They're the deep state. These are the people who like wars. And who are they run by? I'll let you come to your own conclusion on that, because I know. But I'm not saying it on here. I think you know though. He runs the WEF. So will there be a change? The only change that I'm talking about Europe is get rid of the EU. Let the countries be run by their prime ministers and presidents instead of this corrupt Brussels, the EU, because they are corrupt. They talk about democracy. What a load of bollocks that is. They actually cancelled a fella by the name of Kalen Georgescu. He was going to become president of Romania. And they cancelled the elections. Von der Leyen. Because he was, I'm not saying he was pro-Russian, but he didn't want to know about Ukraine. He said, no, why should be? We're not giving money to them. If I become president, that's it. Everything stops for Ukraine, including arms and money. We're going to stay neutral. She didn't like that. So they cancelled elections. So there was another fella who went in for it, a fella named Simone. And Simone, he was the same. He said, no, we want to look after our own people rather than Ukraine. What's Ukraine to us? And it was fiddled, the election. It was impossible for him to get beat the day before. Impossible. Yet the opposite number, the puppet, he won it. He won the election. So, you've got all phoniness there. So democracy doesn't exist in Europe, in Brussels, not Europe, in Brussels, the EU. Doesn't exist at all. And they talk about democracy for the Ukraine, forgetting they never ever mention about all the opposition to Zelensky. All the papers, the newspapers, the television companies are all in jail. They're shut down. There's no opposition. There's nothing there. There's a girl by the name of Diana Pachenko. Get onto her on X. She's brilliant. She's a Ukrainian and she tells the truth about Zelensky. She's really good. And what's going on in Ukraine. The Snape. That's why I retain a consistent sense of euphoria, Frank. I'm so ignorant. I'm blissfully unaware of what's going on geopolitically. The lunatics took over the asylum decades ago. Yes. Yes. And that's the shame. But who's the shame? Is it us? Is it you, me, and the rest of us here? We've allowed it because we're controlled. It's like the COVID thing. It's like the COVID thing. That was when they had the lockdowns all over the world. That was to see how controlling the people in power were. And they did it. They got it brilliantly. And so they can control us anytime they want. And today it's like, it's not scaremongering anymore. It's fear-mongering. They're putting fear into people. They're putting fear into you and I. That's what it's all about. fear-mongering about Russia. Russia wants to take over. Russia doesn't want to fucking take over. What for? What do they want to take over Europe for? They just... You want to stream Russia? Just have a look at it. It's incredible. I was looking at something today in Moscow. And it's a very religious country, by the way. Very Christian country. And I was looking at it. And you want to see the way it's all lit up for Christmas. It's incredible. I've never seen it. It was just Moscow I was looking at. Incredible what they've done. Just have a look at it. Oh, they celebrate Christmas. God blimey. You know, I've got my little Christmas lights up. Christmas tree. You want to see that? And the boss says, make you right about doing nothing. Make you right about not doing the message, Frank. For me, I get angry with the ostrich mentality of society, and the commercial vultures love distraction since October. What's that? Buy stuff. Don't think. I can't understand that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can't understand that. Fucking hell, I didn't want to change my glasses. I really didn't. Buy stuff. What's that? Don't think. Stop. Distraction since October. I say buy stuff from since October. Well, it's always commercial, isn't it? I was only saying that to my grandson Ben yesterday when he came down. You know, who makes the most money out of Christmas celebrations? They love the time of year. Certain groups of people. Certain conglomerates, put it that way. They make all the money. And Johan, Rute, Callas, Ursula, birds of a feather, as they say. Yes, that Rute is a complete and utter idiot. I was listening today about some European leaders were saying, the likes of Rutte and Callas and Ursula were saying, oh, you know, Russia are afraid of NATO. Russia are defeating NATO. They think that you and I think that they're not fighting NATO now. Russia, and defeating them heavily. It's ridiculous. They expect you to, you know, just say, oh, was that right? Yeah. We're not thick. We know what's going on. We know who's defeating who. We know who's fighting who. And who's in the mix of it in Ukraine. They're afraid of NATO. They're not afraid of NATO. They're afraid of no one, the Russians. Anyway, the boss, not only the EU bureaucrats, Frank, the masses of elected fools and crooks and fascists from Nixon through Reagan, Thatcher, Boris, etc. Worthy leaders are rare as rocking horse. droppings. You don't have proper politicians today. I don't think so. You've only got to look at Trump. Is he a politician? No. You've only got to look at Starmer. Is he a proper? No. So they're not really, like, I'm going in this country, you go back to the 60s, 70s, the 80s, 90s, as much as I dislike and disliked at the time Thatcher, she was a proper politician. So was Blair. But now today's generation of politicians in this country, no, they're not proper. They're not proper. Especially in America, especially with Trump. Trump sells houses and builds places. It's proved by sending that Kushner to Moscow and to Kiev. They're not diplomats. They sell houses. Kushner, the son-in-law of Trump. A salesman. And the boss says, can't have democracy when the majority are influenced 24/7 by the crap from their mobile phones. Who rules media? Rules the world. Who rules media? Well, you know who rules media. And I'm not saying it. You know it. So no matter what you look at, no matter if you're looking at the TV, if you're reading the newspaper, this is why the Western narrative is shocking. It's so full of propaganda, misinformation, and disinformation as well. So you're getting everything from the media, who are run by you know who. Even in films, I think Johan mentioned film, TV or something, and it's anti-Russia, no matter what. You've only got to go back to, I think, the first James Bond, and who were the baddies? The Russians. From Russia with love and all this nonsense. It's always Russians. You've only got to look at today's films. And they're looking at, the Russian mafia in America. But the Americans always defeat them, you see. It's so nonsensical. BJ. Hey, Frank. Was that yours? Oh, was yours? Oh, I thought you said I was at my... I'm sorry, I haven't got my reading glasses on. It was quiet, BJ. It was very quiet. Just stayed in. There's our Francine down, my daughter and grandkids and that, so which was nice. But that's about it, BJ. Very quiet. Thanks for asking. I know that yours went okay, knowing you, BJ. And I know that you'll be doing some entertaining on New Year's Eve. If you know what I mean. Singing, because you're a great singer, entertainer. And the boss says, I think I had better leave you, Frank and Co. I feel my temper rising and risk posting things which will get you banned. So best wishes, take care. You never walk alone, little. Thank you, boss. Got to be careful, you see, what we say. Got to be very careful. The Red Squares is winter wonderland. Yeah, the Red Square. The Red Square. Steve. The Red. Oh, it's fantastic. Johan, absolutely amazing. Fantastic. It is. I recommend everyone to just have a look at Moscow. It's incredible. Absolutely amazing. Really. And I mean, look at the way they celebrate Christmas. Just have a look. Their Christmas is until I think in a couple of weeks. Is it the Julian calendar they follow or the Gregorian? I get mixed up what we follow. I think we follow the Gregorian, don't we? And they follow the Julian. I think so anyway. Cotton Eater. How are you? Good evening, Frank. An elderly couple said the secret to a great relationship is simple. He says, yes, dear. She nods 50 happy years. If anyone tells you different, it's a blatant lie. It's true. But the way, it is true. It is true, though. And I admire people who have been married, for yonks. I really do. Because you can imagine there are so many divorces throughout the world. Because I think there's a lot of people now with egos. Not where egos. Egos. E-G-O. Ego. If you know what I mean. And they don't like any of the partner getting the best of them. And the arguments start, and that's it. That's how it goes, unfortunately. But you do get wonderful people who have been married for yonks. And Tuscany, 100% agree, von der Leyen. And the EU corrupt and dangerous, but I know people who bury their heads in the sand and say we should trust our MP. Won't put us on air. What my reply was, same for local politics. Yeah, you've got Starmer. We haven't got a navy, really. We haven't got a navy, unfortunately. I'm talking about a navy that could rule, because we did rule the waves once, but not today, unfortunately. And we haven't got the troops to take on anyone, let alone Russia. Russia have got a weapon called the Orishnik. If that just drops on one city here, without any nuclear warhead, by the way, just take it out. It's a super weapon. A super weapon. And it's not nuclear. But it's just as devastating as a nuclear weapon. Incredible. And Steve says, I asked my mum's Spark speaker. Oh, that thing, yeah. When did the war in Ukraine? Alexa answered, it started in 2014 with a coup. A coup d'etat. And people don't know that. There's some people who don't know that. to be honest, about the coup d'etat, led by the Americans, Victoria Nuland, another Russophobe who hates Russia. She just wants to see the back end of Russia. They want to break. Well, Kaya Kallas only said last week, didn't she? I want to see the breakup of Russia. Can't make these things up. Can't make them up. And Myra says, the crazies, the Ukrainian military fired a barrage of 91 kamikaze drones at the Russian president's state residence. They can take Zelensky out anytime, but they won't. But there's Zelensky in his Christmas message who said, I want to see Putin perish. I want to see him perish. It's wrong. He's talking about a powerful leader. And the West don't realise that Vladimir Putin, is a moderate. He's a moderate. If they had the likes of Medvedev, they had to contend with. I'm talking about Europe. If Medvedev was leader, I'm telling you now, there'd be no Ukraine. It'll be flat. It'll be flat. If they had the likes of Medvedev as president of Russia, the Russian Federation. Believe you me. And Stephen said, I asked my mum, smart speaker. Oh, Israel becomes the first country to recognise Somaliland. Because it's on, isn't it, the Gulf of Aden? And it's so easy to get from the likes of the new little Somaliland, which is absolute. I think it's only the size of an airstrip, and they're there now, Israel, so that they could get to Iran quicker rather than flying over hostile countries. That's why they're there. But they've got the American backing. There's no way they just go there on their own. The American backing's there. Myra. And no one knows about Somaliland. It'll be gone in there, It won't last, to be honest. Won't last, Somaliland. And Johan, he replies to Stephen, when they replaced the elected leader, Viktor Yanukovych, with pro-NATO Petro Poroshenko, he was horrible. Did you hear what he said? He said, the children, he's talking about the children of Kiev, that surround, anti-Russian, put it that way. And he was talking about the Donbass. And he said, while our children will be sitting in classrooms. That's what he says when he first came in, Poroshenko. Enjoying, the lessons. The children of the Donbass will be hiding in cellars. He said that. And no one battered an eyelid. No Western country never called him out for it. And yes, today, he was corrupt as well. He was corrupt. And yes, today, what was it, yesterday or the day before? That Carney fella, the Prime Minister of Canada, he gave Zelensky $2.5 billion doesn't he know that Zelensky is corrupt? Where's that money going? How much was Zelensky get out of it? But then again, Trump, he gave him nothing. And he went away with his tail between his legs, Zelensky. I think it's the Christian Orthodox on the 6th of January. Another excuse for a few drinks, says Stephen. Yes. Yes. Strange show. Yeah. The Julian, yeah. The Julian, yeah. We use the Gregorian Christmases, yeah. Do you know what? I was like that. I know that we had the Gregorian. Then you start to get mixed up. What is it? The Russians who have the Gregorian or the Julian, you know, the Julian, they call it. Thanks, Johan. Thanks for that. Just to clarify, that's all. Thank you. Enoch Powell was right, says Achi. It depends on what you're saying. Achi. It really is. It really is. Because racism will never, ever go away. It will never, ever go away. If you know what I mean. It'll always be here. No matter what. And Toscana. So, are you ready to fight for your country? According to Starmer, he thinks you're all going out to the front. That's what I mean, Toscana. There's there's Ely. What's his name? What's that fucking arsehole's name? I don't bother now. Bit Labour. Oh, what's his fucking name? Oh, it's not Ely. Is it? And he said he wants sons of graduates who's taken a gap year out to join the army instead, for a year. What kind of a fucking arsehole is he? Is he right? So instead of, going like down to France or anywhere else in the world, these undergraduates, the gap year people, both men and women, by the way, these students join the army for a year. What for? Please. Fucking hell. Cedric, big up to the legends. Hope you and your family have a great... And you too, Cedric. And you too, my friend. You too. Let's hope that it's a peaceful one. But it won't be peaceful, unfortunately. Too many fucking wars going on around. I've never known anything like it in my life. And Paulie, even in chat, even in Frank, I'm just listening to it. I'm learning from all of you. Thanks for the education. Cheers, Paulie. Nice to see you. And that she says, Rambo took the Russians on. Oh my God. Took the Vietnamese on as well. Took everyone on there, the old Rambo. Everyone he took on. And actually, Lenin was a Wall Street man, so was Trotsky. So thanks, Lenin. Lenin, Vladimir Lenin, Peter Ilyich Lenin, Tchaikovsky as well. You see, the likes of Lenin, he never fulfills what he really wanted to fulfill because he died after the Bolsheviks were defeated in 1924. He died soon after. Yeah, Canada bent the knee right after Abu. The corruption bureau started raiding the Green Goblins Party. It's shocking, the way the West is like, they won't call Zelensky out. The corruption of him. And yet they still, but it's just escalation. They don't want the war to stop. See what I think, this is my opinion, I think that money's already gone. The frozen assets. I think it's already gone. Not to Zelensky. I think they've been dipping into it. But then again, Russia have come out now and they want their money back. They've said it, haven't they? And especially with Trump flopping his way again, Putin's way. Because he came out, didn't he, a while back and said, I want nothing to do with these frozen assets unless you're going to give it to me. That's what he's like. There's more to the frozen assets, I'm telling you now. There's more to it. That's why they were determined to get their hands on it. I think it's gone. Military gap years being proposed by John. That's him, Healy. It is Healy, isn't it? I thought it was a joke. He's serious. This is how bad it is. This is how bad it is. When you think about it. And Toscana, racism will never go away, but the government and judiciary can't pick and choose who to apply it to. Two-tier politics. As I said, racism will always be here. Not here, around the world. It'll never go away. Toscana. Myra says there's a new UK Armed Forces Foundation scheme, military gap year, exactly, for school leavers 18 to 25 to get skills stroke training for a year, aiming to boost recruitment with paid placements. I know what it'll be. It'll be you won't have to pay university fees. We'll pay them for you. You can still carry on with your university with a uniform on, if you know what I mean. They'll start recruiting. If this goes, they'll recruit lecturers to go into army camps to carry on with the undergraduates, whatever they want to be. So, but they're still in the army. See what I mean? That's what will happen. Sorry about this. The packets of crisps I has with there. Makes you very thirsty. Good shout there, Myra. Good shout, though. Even in Frank and chat, what we gave to remember at the Rambo was American and USA win all wars. Yeah. Because he went back, didn't he, Rambo, to free the prisoners kept by the Vietnamese. The Vietnamese. So they won the war that way. You can't make it up. You can't make it up, Barry. Defence Secretary John Healey says, Myra, about the gap. Yeah. Yeah. And that's how bad it is in this country to recruit. It's just nonsense, to be honest. As I said, we've got no navy. You know, we want to take on the Russians. There's no chance. We'd have no chance. No country in Europe could take on the Russians. And as I said, you know, the propaganda going around today that Russia are afraid to take NATO on. Even the Trump said it. You know, they want to be friendly towards NATO, more or less saying, you know, they're afraid of NATO. No, they're not, because they're fighting NATO in Ukraine and they're being heavily defeated NATO. But you don't hear about that. NATO are a finished force. Finished they are. I bet you there's a match on. I bet there's a match on. Because it's gone 8 o'clock. Matches start, don't they, at 8 o'clock on a Monday. And from all the people that was there, it's just dropped down. You know, the amount of people on the pod there. So they're all watching the game. That's why I don't like doing them anymore. You know, they're armed and they leave to watch a game. I'm not, you know, it's great that they tune in. I'm made up with that. But, you know, then they go and watch a match. Because they love football. Like myself. I love football. But I've had enough of football. The way we're playing, Jesus. So what do you think? Do you reckon that peace will come between Ukraine? Do you think Zelensky will say, okay, yeah, let's have peace? There'll definitely be no ceasefire. Putin's already said that. Putin said that all along. Because as he said, if we have a ceasefire, they'll just build up again. Ukraine, that is. They'll just build up again and start it all over again. He said, so there's no ceasefire until everything is settled. Until everything is settled. And that's the way Putin works. And this war that's going on, they're just taking they're taking everywhere now. And I think there's an AFCON matches on, says Paulie. But they are on around 4 or 5. Oh, okay. So there's no matches tonight, really. Oh, yeah, Toscana says, yeah. Thanks, Paulie. Thanks, Toscana. All of a sudden, it just went. see, you've got the likes of, as I said, leaders. I don't call Zelensky a world leader. He's a corrupt actor. He reads scripts. And he reads scripts for America. I can't understand. I think people think that Trump is, negotiating peace. America, it's an American proxy war in Ukraine fighting the Russians. So how could they negotiate? How could they be neutral? It's impossible. It can't stop with it like that through America, because America's only got to go. But then again, what he's more or less said is like, we're not taking any part of it anymore, part in this war, and leave it up to the Europeans. But the Europeans want to escalate. But the Europeans now Brussels have got no money. And you're getting, countries in Europe, within Europe, saying, no, you're not fucking giving, because they want to give billions more. Like, I think they want to give between 150 and 200 billion to Zelensky. But the European countries, they say, no. There's a few of them now. There's a few. Even Giorgia Meloni of Italy, she said, no, we're not giving any money. Because the frozen assets have been depleted. They can't touch them, as they say. But I think it's already been touched. And they're trying to cover themselves up. Europe, I'm talking about, not Europe, the EU. And this is why they want to recall in this money and say, well, okay, it's Euro clear, there's the money there. There's the Russian, because Russia has said we want our money back. By hook or by crook, we want our money back, and we will get it back. And the Z-Man, which is Zelensky, is, as you say, on his way out. You can already smell the show getting stale. Yep. Because he's flying everywhere, isn't he? And all he's doing is beg. He just begs for money and arms. Don't forget, as well, that people, with all these, look at the amount of arms he's been given. The amount. They've been given everything. Yeah, what's there in Ukraine is being destroyed by Russia. But where's the rest of it? It's being sold on the black market. Who's making the money from that? Who's making the money from that? CW, even in Frank and chat. How you say? How you, mate? Good to see you. And Johan says, have you seen Trump's cabinet interfering in the Honduras? But that's it, because he gave them, what did he say? Oh, I'll help you out, just like he said to Argentina a few months ago. I'll help you out with billions if you vote in Mealy again. And he's done it to Honduras. He's doing it exactly to Honduras. In other words, bribing. And that's right. No one's saying nothing. Nobody is saying a word. about it, Johan. And it's wrong. It's bloody wrong. Marco Rubio is a self-hating, let's see. Well, he wants to take on Cuba, doesn't he, as well? He wants to take over Cuba, Rubio, because his parents are Cuban, aren't they? And he hates the regime there. And look what they've done. They've been sanctioned since '59 when the other fella took over, Castro. They've been sanctioned since then, yet they've kept going. They've kept going. But he hates them that much that, you know, the regime, that he wants America to go in. But he wants America to go in everywhere, not him personally. You know who's behind it, don't you? They want to go in, especially to Venezuela and other places. Venezuela especially, to put their puppets in. The Machado, whatever the name is, whatever how you pronounce her name. And she's a Zionist. She's all for Israel. Think about it. Well, you're right there, Johan, about Marco Rubio. He's horrible, him. He's horrible, that man. The worst fella out of the bunch of them is Eskin. One horrible, greasy oaf. You want to see the tattoos on him, mate? Incredible. I got the shock of my life when I seen them. The iron crosses on his chest. And Barry says NATO is useless, Frank, and their gesture towards trying to create an army, either collectively or in individual countries, is useless. What's the point when people die unnecessarily and warheads will? Yep. And Paulie. Hi there, TW. Yeah, Barry, yeah, when ultimately, yeah. There's too many war hawks in the world today, but it's in the West, really. It's in America. They're the war hawks. The Americans. And we have to follow suit. This war could have been avoided if the West would have listened to Putin at the beginning when he was saying, "Will you'll have to stop this," from 2014 with the coup d'etat. The coup d'etat that got rid of the legitimate president, who was easily won, by the way, because he was pro-Russian. They needed him out. You've got more covert changes in every country. Regime changes, covert operations by the CIA and MI6. It's shocking. And Janet, yeah, that's it. Thanks, Janet. Yes, thank you. I did get it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Was dropped into me. And Johan, just call the Joker of Venezuela, Machado. I don't know how you pronounce her name. Kudos to Assange. After everything he's been through, he's suing the Swedish government for violating their own law by awarding it to her. Yeah, and I tell you what as well, he wants to sue them as well, Sweden. Remember, America forced Sweden to say that he raped 2 women in Sweden, Assange. Remember that? And it was thrown out. You know, it could never even went to court. I'd sue that government for that. Yeah, he's great, Julian Assange. But so was Snowden, Edward Snowden. He whistle blew them all. And Paulie says, so interesting, but I'm betting if you tried telling the general public any of this, they wouldn't believe it. I know. I'm enjoying listening to people with an open mind and intelligent things to impart. That's what I mean. It's the truth. It's rather than listen to the Western media, which is terrible propaganda. On here, you know, there are people who tell the truth. You've got to look at the alternative news. There's great people on YouTube who say the news, you know, they just say this is what's going on. This is the truth. And that's what we do. We try to do by telling the truth. But we're restricted in certain things, unfortunately, because of freedom of speech. There's no more freedom of speech. You could go to jail for it. Myra, there are whispers that Israel is going to do a second strike. Yeah, I know. This is why Netanyahu's in America to see Trump, because they want to do a second strike. This is why they're in that Somaliland now, because they're building this airstrip, making it longer. But they don't only want to bomb Iran, but this is Israel, but they also want to bomb Yemen, and those Houthis, all the Yemenis, they want to bomb. And they're not interested, Israel, this is, they're not interested in the collateral damage either. They just bomb civilians. This is what they're like. But anyway, if they did try to bomb it, if they want to bomb it, you've got the likes of Iran with their super weapons now, and they'll just let fly. So it could be dodgy for Israel. Very dodgy. You have to think very carefully. And Barry says, no difference from Afghanistan. Why do we always have to walk down America's yellow brick road just to put our necks in the noose? Bush, what an absolute tosspot, worse than Trump. But you've got Obama as well. You've got Bill Clinton. They're all the same. Every one of them have got blood on their hands. You had Colonel Gaddafi, leader of the Libyans. You had the propaganda going on then about him when he was in power. Even before all this Russian-Ukraine thing. And they were getting at him. They were saying he was killing his own and he's doing this and he was doing that, and I've gone all blurry again, haven't I? And the propaganda against them was absolutely horrendous. Horrendous. And people believed it. Yet Gaddafi was one of the greatest leaders in the Middle East. He gave everything to his people. He gave everything. If you were getting married, he'd give you, like I'm going back to when he was in power, they had the equivalent of 60,000 quid, a couple getting married, to start a life. And building houses, putting them in there. They had free energy. This is what he was like. He loved his country, he loved his people. And yet you had people working behind him. And that is the likes of Obama and Cameron of this country, Cameron. And he had a terrible death. Terrible. All because of America and here, Britain. It was shocking what they did to that man. You're welcome. That's for the Christmas card. Thank you, Jeanette. Loads of corruption. Yes, Jeanette. There is loads of corruption. That's what it's all about. And Johan, does anyone else find it weird that Trump is hosting foreign politicians and discussing foreign policy at his private golf resort? Mar-a-Lago. Yeah. Yeah. See, look, he wants the Nobel Peace Prize. And if he gets it, you know that it's corrupt. Even with that Machado, whatever the fucking name is, I said then, it's corrupt. The Nobel Peace Prize is corrupt. Because America, Trump bullied for them to give her the, Norway to give her the Nobel Peace Prize. Because she's an asset, isn't she, to the CIA and MI6 and Mossad. Think about that. What about the Saudi prince visiting Trump? Well, look, you've got the likes of Trump tries to bring in everybody. Who he can talk to. And the Saudi, their dependence on the Saudi oil, America, albeit America has plenty of oil. This is why they want the Venezuelan oil. This is why he's become, he's being known now as the Pirates of the Caribbean by stealing these oil tankers, just boarding these oil tankers and stealing their oil, keeping it. Is that the sign of a desperate man? No, that's the sign of a fucking lunatic. You just don't do things like that. Because these ships, these tankers are sovereign. And I think they made the biggest mistake by taking one under the Panama flag. But it was Chinese oil. They'd already bought it. And China has a massive leverage over America. China. And that's these earth minerals that America desperately need of China. So he's relented now. We came, we saw, he died, Hillary. Yeah, that was horrible, that. In that interview, shocking, wasn't it? And laughing about it. That's what America is all about. That's what America is all about. Remember when I said ignorance is bliss? I think 80% of Americans are ignorant of what's going on. All they're worried about, all they're interested in is their weather. They look at local news. They look at a local daytime television, with celebrities on, a couple of actors or whatever. That's all they watch, having a clue what's going on behind them and what their country's getting up to. You've only got to look at, I mentioned a couple of actors being on TV. Sean Penn, great actor Sean Penn, but fucking arsehole. When he handed his Oscar to Zelensky, and that Ben Stiller, think about the name Ben Stiller. That's all I'll say about him and Zelensky. And he went over to see him. Too many with blood on their hands, says Janet. Yes, Janet, yep. Absolutely. Too many of them, Janet. And Johan, I knew the Nobel Peace Prize was a joke ever since they gave it to Obama. Oh, yeah. Yes. And he went on to drop more bombs than Bush in the Middle East, and they never said a word about it. And he neglected his own people as well, Obama. I always remember that, I think it was 2005, Hurricane Katrina, and it destroyed, didn't it? New Orleans. And where it destroyed all homes. But I think it was 95% were black people, and their homes had gone. And they're still fucking waiting today for homes to be rebuilt. And Bush said it's going to happen, or will happen at the time. And the unfortunate thing is, nothing's happened. And Obama, he neglected his own people. That's what kind of a president he was. He's a fucking phony, him. And Toscana agrees with you there, Johan. And Paulie, when I was about 18, 19, we, friends in brackets, used to visit a bookshop at the Bubble bus stop called News from Nowhere. I used to go in there. Yourself, Paulie. I think it's still going in Bowl Street, but I never have time to pop in when passing. Yeah, News from Nowhere. Bought a few books out of it. In fact, I've got one here now. I forgot it. Yeah. I was only looking at it the other day. There it is, yeah. Yeah. And it's that called The Brave New World. By that man there. Aldous Huxley. And I got that from there a few years ago. Strange, isn't it? Oh, you mentioned that. Tony. Western imperialists still trying to rule the world, but are the Zionists taking control, or are they all subservient to the crown? Now, the Zionists, they're ruling the world now today. The Zionists. You've got the Zeo-Zionists. You know, you can have, well, as you know, you Christian Zionists, but mostly are from a different faith. A different faith. And they're the people that rule the world. They own everything. They own this. This right now, what we're doing, they own. And jealousy is everyone who are also corrupt. Everyone, yeah, well, you know, you've got to look. There are some good countries, you know, that are not corrupt. They just want to look after their own. And one of them's Hungary, and the other one's Slovakia. Now you've got a Czech Republic. And these people, these presidents just want to look after their own people. And I remember Oban, with all the immigrants coming through, he said, no, they're not coming here. And he stopped them. He stopped them from going into Hungary. Because he looks after his own. And I think someone called him a racist. He said, how am I a racist? I said, well, migrants coming in here. You know, who are they? Look, you've only got to look at what America wanted to do to the Middle East. And they succeeded at doing it. They wanted the big influx going into Europe of migrants coming in from the Middle East. And they succeeded to get, you know, well, to destroy, or not destroy, but destabilize Europe. And that's what's happening today. You've only got to look at this country. People are saying, you know, we don't want these immigrants coming in here. We don't know who they are. You know, are they right? And it's only what Oban said. It's only what Fico said. It's only what this new president of the Czech Republic said. But you've got other people saying the same. But you've got NGOs, what you call non-government agencies, who go into countries and start waving flags, like the EU flags. They're what you call colour revolutions until they finally put in a puppet regime. You've got to understand about these NGOs and who runs the NGOs. I guess America. Shocking. They're trying to take over Georgia. They've been trying to take over Georgia for a very long time. They've been trying to take over Venezuela when Chavez was president. And they're still trying to do it now. With the blockade now in the Caribbean. They've always tried to do it. But who are they doing it for? I told you before. Who they're doing it for. And who they want to replace with. It's shocking. You get too many things going on. But why the new, I think someone mentioned about the New World Order. There's not going to be a New World Order. That's what Bush wanted. From the older Bush. Bush Senior, then Bush Junior. And all the rest of these fucking arsehole presidents. These warmongering. Because they wanted to control the world. America stemmed there, you know. So you've got America there, right there, right? At the top, you've got Greenland. At the bottom, you've got Latin America. So they want to control all that from Iceland right down, no, Greenland, I'm sorry, right down to the tip of South America, Argentina. The very tip of it. They want to control. But you've also got them in the South China Seas, NATO that is. But you've got the ordinary people who are saying, fuck off, we don't need you, we don't want you. And now what you've got today is a thing called BRICS. And BRICS is going to be the most powerful thing in the world. That's why there's not going to be any New World Order, especially by America. It's crumbling. The American empire is crumbling before our very eyes because people have had enough. I'm talking about the global south. And there's more people in the global south than America and Europe combined. And who's leading BRICS? China, Russia, India, Brazil. These are all formidable countries. You might think about, saying about India. India is a powerful country. Very powerful, and they're a nuclear power as well. So is Pakistan. China is a beautiful country, certainly is. Certainly is. A streamer, China. It's incredible. The architecture, the modern buildings, absolutely amazing. Same as Moscow, their business centre. Have a look at that. It's incredible. One of my favourite buildings is there in Moscow. And Myra says China should cash in the USA bonds and carry in USA debt. The dollar will, This is why they've got a hell of a lot of leverage over America. They own their debt, they own their debt. They've only got to go, yeah, go. And America's fucked. But, people have to rely on America. We all have to rely on America for trade because they have things that we need. But America needs, other countries for what they need. It's funny, but who's winning the economic war? It's China. China's winning the economic war. Good shout, that, Myra. Barry says, is that not the same Russia, Frank? The people are being oblivious to the ongoings, to the goings on elsewhere. They are oblivious. Look, it's like, I can't give you an analogy. I really can't. See, Russia is not the Russian that, we grew up with this cold-blooded war. The Soviet Union. It's totally different. Totally different. All right, let's take Everton Football Club, for example. And you've just woke up from a coma and you go, and you're an Evertonian. And you go, what's the first thing? I want to go to a match. I want to get to. And then you just bring them to a match. But they bringing them down to the new stadium. And you're like, where the fuck are we? I want to go to a match. I want to go to Goodison. It's changed. See what I mean? It's changed. Soviet Union. Russia has got nothing. There's nothing there remotely the same as what it was during the Cold War, the Soviet Union. Nothing. You might as well say it's a capitalist society because all they want to do is trade with other, countries. That's all they want to do. They just want to get on with people. But to pick on Russia, a mighty nuclear power, but the propaganda's been going on for years. That Kane fella, he said it's just a gas station. Russia was just a gas station. Didn't he? Nah. Oh, no, it's not, mate. It's a powerful country. And Jeanette says, Annan is a wonderful place. Hanoi, you mean? Hanoi. In Vietnam. Do you mean? Oh, Southern Islands of China. Oh, I see. I'm sorry. Yeah. Obama was a good speaker, says Jeanette. Oh. He's a good con man. I bought a few there too. A few what? I bought a few books about Finland. Oh, do you mean News from Nowhere? Yeah. I think everyone has bought something from there, to be honest, Jeanette. And Barry says, despite Zelensky's past or present for that matter, why was Putin's tanks allowed to cross the border into Ukraine, or should we never get involved? Barry, don't you know what was happening in the Donbass? And what Putin was asking for? Why was Putin's tanks allowed to cross the border into Ukraine, or should we never get involved? No, because look, what the fuck has Ukraine got to do with us? Hey, what has it got to do with us? Remember the Northern Ireland situation and the problems we had, right? Does anyone else get, besides America, you know, fucking good old America, besides America, does anyone else get involved in that? Any European fucking country get involved? Does even Australia or New Zealand get involved? Does anyone hear of them getting involved? Oh, now listen, you shouldn't be fucking doing it. Did you? No, you never. So what's fucking Ukraine got to do with us? They were poking the bear. They really thought they wanted Russia broken up. The West had been adamant to do it for years. Decades. You could even go back to the 19th century and the Crimean War. Always wanted to do it. And you might just think that the Crimean War was just good old British, you know, fighting the Russians. It was the fucking French as well. They were on side by side with us. So it's always been against Russia. There's always been a hatred for Russia. And Zelensky, he's well, he is corrupt anyway. He's been stealing your fucking money, your taxpayers' money, and mine, and Americans, and all of Europe. He's been stealing it. You know, what's Ukraine got to do with us? What's fucking Russia got to do with us, for that matter? So if they wanted a war, fucking let them carry on. But no. Europe wanted to get involved because they really thought that this would have been the downfall of Russia. Because after the coup d'etat to overthrow a pro-Russian president, by the way, and a pro-Western president, you know, he said, "Oh, get fucking shut of him, put in a puppet, and we'll be all right. We can take on Russia." And this is the CIA. This is America, by the way, led by Victoria Nuland and MI6. And he really thought that Ukraine, with a proxy war with America, you know, American help, American intel, everything, and the fucking American soldiers, they were fucking there. Having a go as well. NATO was having a, still are today. And they couldn't defeat it. Then they threw sanctions on them. We fucking destroyed them with sanctions. Doesn't work. And even Trump now admitted that yesterday. Doesn't work. Nothing can work. Anyone who Russia, you've got to understand their mentality. Take us on, we'll fuck yous. That's their mentality. And I'm talking about ordinary people. Don't forget the Great War, the great sacrifice in the Second World War. they lost 27 million people. And the people there in Russia believed that their family sacrificed and no one will fucking do it again. That's what they did. And that's their mentality. And once Ukraine started bombing the Donbass area and the other areas of Russian-speaking people, and Putin was saying, listen, this has got to fucking stop. He's begging the West to stop it rather than him go in, because the Donbass people were saying, can you help us to Russia? Can you help us? No one's helping. And fucking people were being bombed to fuck by the Kiev regime. And you know that. And it took 8 years. These people. And, you know, asking Putin to help. No one had helped them. And Putin was asking the West to help them for 8 years. And he said, listen, if you're not going to help, I've got to go in and fucking save these people. And that's why they went in. But you get the propaganda. But obviously you were reading, Barry, they invaded a sovereign country. It was to save Russian-speaking people. Because what did Ukraine, what did Kiev? They fucking banned everything of Russian culture, Russian everything. And they thought that really, that these people of the Donbass area, these Russian-speaking people, were subhuman. Have you heard that one before? Subhuman. And you've only got to go back to the Second World War about subhumans and camps. And you're getting that, that's what they were called. And, you know, no one takes a blind bit of notice of what they were called. But once you got the likes of Israel calling, you know, you've got that Smotrich and Gavir calling the people, these people in Gaza, subhuman. And yet they're all up in arms saying, they're not subhuman, they're human beings. But if you get the fucking likes of Ukraine calling Russian-speaking people, all the Russian-speaking people, by the way, subhuman, not a fucking word. But you see the hypocrisy. The hypocrisy is there all around us every fucking day. You can call one subhuman and go, that's wrong. You can call another subhuman and nothing's fucking said. Yeah, I'll let them carry on, yeah. This is why the likes of racism will never stop. Ever. And remember the anti-Semitism? Well, that's only gone fucking worse now because of Gaza. That's why you get labels. We get labels thrown at us. If you say something about, I got these fucking immigrants, these illegals coming at you, call Islamophobic. So they throw. And when you talk about these transgenders and, you know, things like that, you get called homophobic. So they've got labels for everything, and that's to control you. See what I mean? I'll just go down here, boys. Frank, I'd hug you if I met you, says Archie. Thanks, Archie. I'd hug you back as well. Hug you back. You're not naive, Barry. You're not naive, mate. Honestly, you're not naive. There are some people who listen. But the naivety of other people, not you, I'm not saying you are, but honestly, I'm not. You know, they're looking and they go, you know, I don't believe that. It's because, look, if you grow, I grew up during the Cold War. We all did. I think so. See, the Cold War finished when the wall came down in 1989, and the Soviet Union.
Calling Phil Ashton.
I've got to take this. Hang on. Hello? Hello?
Welcome to the O2 messaging service. The person you are calling is unable to take.
That's mad, that calls a person. Not me. I didn't call it, but whatever came up there, fucking, and you can't say anything on this, can you? You know, if you're talking, you know, the phone can pick up something and fucking dial them. Oh, what weird. Fucking hell. Gotta be careful. See what I mean? How careful you've got to be. But you're not naive. You know, you get people, as I said about the Cold War, and people really believed that the Russians or the Soviet, well, Russia is still the Soviet Union, if you know anything about the Soviet Union and what was happening at the time with the Cold War, with the likes of Nikita Khrushchev and Brezhnev, Kazygin, and these people. You know, they held the cards to the chest, and you couldn't get any information out of any of them. But that's all stopped. You've only got to look today. You've only got to look at yesterday's press conference with Trump and Zelensky, right? You've only got to look at a press conference with Starmer or Macron or any of them. And yet the reporters are there at these press conferences, no matter where it is, whether it's in Paris, London, fucking there, the White House, all their press conferences, whether it's in Rome with Giorgia Meloni, whether it's anywhere. You don't have Russian journalists there. They've all been banned. Yet in Moscow, when President Putin's given a press conference, just the fucking BBC, ITV, CNN, fucking Fox News, they're all there. Do you see what I mean? And people think, they must be there. No, that's naivety. Because they're not there, they've been banned. And where's the democracy? It's not fucking democracy. Banning journalists because, you know, you don't like them. You don't like their country. And Jeanette, I've just started a new job. Oh, very good. Yeah. Jeanette, this is what you mean, like, but very good. We're talking about Zelensky. What's going on? He's got a new job. Excuse me. Greenland is closer to Canada than the USA. Yeah. Yeah, buddy. And he wants to take it. Excuse me. What did he say when he first got into power? It's not the Gulf of Mexico now. It's the Gulf of America. What did he do to the, since the 1970s, they had this massive centre, and it was called the Kennedy Center, after the greatest, in my opinion, of American presidents. That's JFK, John F. Fitzgerald Kennedy. And what has he fucking done last week? He named it the Trump Center. Fuck Kennedy. It's the Trump Center now. It's shocking what he's doing. This is what kind of a fucking fella he is. And Johann Tabari, because they were actively persecuting religious Russians, banned Russian language and regions close to the border who are ethnically Russian. Simple as that. Besides bombing them, killing them, grabbing them out of fucking houses and shooting them. That's what they were doing. Barry. And he went in and saved them. Next continent will be Iceland, apparently. What is BRICS, says Janet? Janet, BRICS is a group of countries that are taking on the G7, which is fucking useless. G7. And this is why these will become more powerful than the G7, which they are now, to be honest. And they get rid of the dollar, the de-dollarization. And that, she says, all our import, well, most of them, yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yep. True, Frank, says Jeanette. Thanks, Johan, says Barry. I'll say fucking thanks to me, like, but it doesn't matter. Only joking, Barry. Johan says, Jeanette, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, they are the core of founders, but a lot of Southeast Asian, like Indonesia, Vietnam, have joined, Venezuela joined them this year. And when you look at Argentina, they wanted to join. But this fella who was going to win the election, that's why Trump was, bribed the Argentinian people. He said, you'll get all these billions of dollars, but don't allow, if you vote in Mealy, which they did. They voted him in. He was corrupt, by the way, as well. So that's what's going on about the likes of BRICS. They're going to come in and, I'm not saying take over, but they will do away with the dollar because everything is more or less paid for in dollars. Used to be. Now it's the yuan, which is the Chinese currency, if you want to buy. And that's your BRICS. It's great. It's a good thing, BRICS. It's going to save us all. Blow my mind, this chat. It really has, says Paulie. Fucking hell, I've got this fucking pain back in me. Fucking hell. Kills me. Thanks, Johan, says Jeanette. Tony to Jeanette. BRICS is an alternative economic system to the established imperialist system. Brazil, Russia, India, China, etc. are wanting to break free from the corrupt Western financial system. And that's run by the dollar. Okay, now. Run by the dollar. This fucking pain, honestly. Hence, yes, says so, the demonization of Putin. Yes. But that's only now, you see. That's only because of the SMO. If they would have fucking just done something, what Putin said, listen, will you go in and stop all this fucking terrible thing, what's happening in the Donbass area? He was pleading with them. And if the West would have done something then, there would have been no war. There would have been no BRICS. The world would have just carried on. But now it's fucking changed. And there's no way that BRICS is going to be disbanded. That is why the likes of Trump was putting on all these fucking tariffs. You know that Lindsey Graham put 500% tariffs on India and Russia and China and every fucking one else because he's terrified in case the fucking dollar goes, which it will do one day. It's what you call the slowness of the de-dollarization, and it will go like that. Because you won't have a G7 anymore. This is why Trump, remember Trump were only in, he said it at the beginning of his, I want to bring in Russia into the G8, the G7 now, but he wants to make it, bring them back in because fucking Obama got rid of them. Big mistake. Fucking big mistake, Obama, doing that. And that was because of Crimea. He went, the Crimean people wanted to be in the Russian Federation. So as soon as Russia went in, they held a referendum. And I think it was 87% wanted to be in the Russian Federation. That was the end of it. So they were in the Russian Federation. That's it. And now what you've got all this nonsense now. And Ukraine could have just been carrying on with fucking Ukraine, but there wouldn't have been any more nonsense from them. Now they want the root cause. And what's the root cause? One of the root causes that Russia wants. And it's the Azovs. They just want to get rid of the Azovs. And if you don't know who the Azovs are, they're a Ukrainian banded out, horrible Nazis who go around committing war crimes today. BRICS will take over, says Myra. The USA prayed, and it's happening. The world is tired of the school bully called the USA. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. As I've always said that Hungary, Orban should just say, fuck you, get NATO out of my country, I'm joining BRICS, because they'll be welcome like that. Hungary will be welcomed right into it. Okay, now. Got the eerie. Fallen to bits. And actually to Paulie, great to be alive in a way. We've been sold out. Into the Valley Road, the 600. Oh my God, yes. There's a fellow, I brought people there, and there's a church here in Liverpool, and there's a grave where one of those 600 road. He was brought back and they buried him in this church, St. Peter's. One of the 600. Alfred Lord Tennyson, and you would never have heard of that, you know, only because of Alfred Lord Tennyson. He was reading The Thunder, a newspaper called The Thunder, which is the Times today. And he read a little column like that about these. It was a mistake. I don't know whether it was Lord Sandwich or Raglan who gave the signal to them to go, the cavalry. And that's why they said guns to the right of them and guns to the left of them. Rode the 600 into the valley of death. Rode the 600. And he wrote a poem about it. And that's how we got to know about that particular thing. And a Liverpool lad was an officer, forget his name. He's buried here in the cemetery. Good, eh? So you would never have heard about like a lot of things that's gone on in the world that you've never heard of. And it was only through that poem by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Never have heard of that. Then a big thing came about it. And Jeanette says, there is a beautiful piece of art at the Peace Garden to be sent to Ukraine when there's peace there. Nothing to Russia, like. Got to balance it out, you know. Did you get the chocolate? See, did I get the chocolate? What chocolate? Got no chocolate. Unless you gave her a card and the chocolate, if you know what I mean. Got nothing. Got the card. That's what you're on about, Gemma. And Barry, apologies, Frank and chat. No, I didn't know about the Donbass situation. Obviously, I understand now. Thank you. It was shocking, Barry, honestly. They were bombing children. They were bombing schools. They were bombing markets where people just went out to a fucking market to buy something. They were bombing them, shelling them, killing them. And as Putin said, this is genocide. They're killing people, Russian-speaking people. And they're getting called subhuman. You know, you might as well call Tchaikovsky subhuman. You might as well call the Bolshoi Ballet that people love to go and watch around the world. Subhuman. Chekhov, subhuman. Solzhenitsyn, subhuman. Yuri Gagarin, Valentina Tereshkova, subhuman. The Mir space station, built by subhumans that the fucking Americans can't even build. You see what I mean? See what I mean about propaganda? Horrible. You know what the media narrative is here? The headlines. They poked the bear, but they never knew that the bear, the dragon, and the elephant have united Russia, China, India. It's true, isn't it? Because they always, America for years, for decades, have always wanted to keep Russia and China and India apart. They've always said, keep them fucking apart. But what's it done? What's this done? All the propaganda and everything and the fucking hatred towards a nation. They've united them. You've only got to look at the 5 axes of evil, what America came out with, and this country. And those 5 axes of evil is North Korea, Iran, Russia, China. These are the fucking... You can't make it up. So everyone thinks that Iran is fucking terror or fucking horrible, them bastards. And North Korea. Has anybody seen Pyongyang? Stream Pyongyang. The way people think today that North Korea is fucking just horrible things, just nothing there. And, Young Kim, fucking his name. And, he's a tyrant. That's the leader of North Korea. And America's always fucking threatened them with nuclear, they've got it. See what I mean? This is where you have the North and South Korea. Because what was happening in 1953? Korean War. Who started it? The Americans. Can't make it up. Do you remember a few years ago with all the student demonstrations in Hong Kong? Who started that? The Americans. CIA. Because they really thought that the students and, the Chinese in Hong Kong could break away from China. That was fucking quelled. But America's always been involved in everything that you see. Everything. Spot on there, Johan, mate. The elephants and the dragon. Good job you can speak for England. No, I'll just speak for you, Johan, Barry, everyone on here now tonight. Myra, everyone. We speak for ourselves because we know the truth. Rather than listening to fucking garbage every fucking day. Language, like everything else, is evolving. And Johan, disable the microphone on your phone, Flanco. I don't know how to fucking say it. I'm useless. But isn't that mad? Now, most probably that lad will go, what's he fucking phoning me for? I haven't spoken to that lad. I don't think he's even on my take. His name just come up. That's it. Okay. And Jeanette says, some were born after 19... Yes, they were. A lot of them. And Johan, they are wiretapping us for sure. Yeah. They've got the tellies, haven't they, where they can actually look at you. Which is mad. And Myra says BRICS is already trading amongst itself, and they use their currency. They do. That's what I was saying, rather than the dollar. More country wants to join, yes. More countries want to join, of course they do, Myra. Especially the global south. Okay, now. Even on here, I hope. I'll go down, people. There's correspondence for the BBC all up. Yes, Jeanette, in Russia. But is there any Russians here? They even stopped Russians from going on holiday, which is fucking shocking. Well, von der Leyen did anyway. She put all this nonsense on. Hey, Frank, says Tony. The Great LaRouche once described Israel as a British hand grenade in the Middle East. By British, he means the Western financier oligarchy. Same fuckers who are using Ukraine to fight Russia. Yes. Yes. And who are the oligarchs? Sorry about this. I'm fucking next. I'm just trying to click some. Yeah, you're right. Israel run the world. I'm telling you. They've got their hands in everyone's pocket. Governmental pocket, that is. Myra says Europe has frozen approximately 210 billion of Russian central bank assets and gave 90 billion to Ukraine. It happens the EU is gone. Who will invest in them? That's it. But what they've done, they've borrowed on the strength of it. They can't touch it. Because Belgium, Eurocare, they said, no way. You're not fucking touching it because it'll affect the bank. And it'll finish the bank. And other countries, won't trust. They'll just take all their money out. Because they do invest in Europe. So they said, we'll take it out. So they never touched it. They borrowed on it. And they'll expect the likes of the European countries to pay it back. But I'm telling you now, you'll get the likes of Giorgia Maloney's come out and said, we're not fucking doing it. Macron's actually come out and said it. We're not fucking paying it back. I don't think Tony LaRouche, yeah. Who you meant? LaRouche. Did I say LaRouche or LaRouche? It's the way I pronounce words. Tony. And you only have to pay £8 to watch Premier League footy for a season here. £8 a year. Just shows you the corruption in that, though, doesn't it? What they do to draw no money out of you. Dickens was right, wasn't he, when he wrote about Scrooge? Frank, don't keel over on us just yet. Jeanette, I know. They say they left arms, don't they? But I've been having this for ages, to be honest. It's when I broke my neck, a fucking nerve goes down. Unfortunately, my arm, that's why I've been trying to click my neck, trying to get it out. I can't. Fucking terrible. I was in terrible pain last night when I went to bed. Woke up this morning, it was great, no pain. Power has to be with the people, says Janet. Yes. Take a break, Frank. I will be finishing soon. I'll just get through these. Frank, you're a trooper, but not Rambo. Have a rest. I will do. Sorry, Frank. Not Greg. Who's Greg? Who the fuck is Greg? That was great, that, wasn't it? You know that song? Alice. Who the fuck is Alice? Myra. The beginning of wisdom is to say that do know, but you are willing to learn and grow. I think we've all got wisdom here. And we all have a little bit of knowledge of something. And we're not taken as fools because we're not fooled. I'm talking about you and the rest of the chatters. Brilliant comments tonight, people. Thank you. And Jeanette, I used to work for it with Barbara, who used to say, as sure as my husband is in Springwood, the cemetery. Fucking hell. Frank, have you seen the Tucker Carlson Gaza refugee segment? I cries every single time. I what? No, I haven't seen it. I love Tucker Carlson, by the way. I think he's great. Says it as it is. Just like we do on here, Johan, as you know. We say it as it is. And Jeanette says, which country could be the K in bricks? Which country? It's not bricks like with a K in. It's not with a K. Jeanette. Oh, lovely Myra's going. Later, everyone, and Frank, thank you, Myra, for joining us. Thank you so much, sweetheart. And if you're on any of the shows, you know, that you watch and you see Lee Argent, give him my regards, please. There were kids with missing. Oh, broke me out. Oh, listen, honestly, I used to pay for Telegram. And I had to unsubscribe. Fucking hell, it killed me. Johan. It killed me, mate. Because we have emotion, you see. This is why. You know, we were talking about Donbass before. I've seen footage from there, what was going on. It was fucking shocking. I remember the footage of that building being burnt down, with 40-odd people being burnt alive in Odessa by the regime who Putin wants to get rid of. Tony, got to go. Keep spreading the truth, Frank. We need more like you. Good night, everyone. Good night, Tony. I'm finishing now anyway, mate. I'm just going to say thank you, everyone, including Tony there, Myra, everybody, Johan, Jeanette, Barry, everyone, every one of you for keeping me company tonight and being great comments. Thank you so much. I'll be on again tomorrow, but I'll be doing a totally different thing, which is the history of literature, which you'll find that if you like books and things, I'm not saying, we don't fucking read books or anything, but if you like them, everything is related to today. And you're talking from Shakespeare right up to the likes of the wonderful Dickens and other people in between. And great poets, by the way. Great fucking men. And Barry says, oversimplifying, but why can't people just live? I know it's not oversimplifying. Look at John Lennon, what he said. You know what I mean? He said, we're governed by psychopaths, insane psychopaths, and we are. You've only got to look at Shakespeare and what he said going back. What a terrible era we live in. By lunatics, more or less, idiots, he said. By idiots governing the blind. And that's us, we're the blind. And they're governing the idiots. And it's only what you've said there, Barry. And what Lennon said. John Lennon. And fucking Shakespeare said it. Good night, eh? It's been a pleasure, Frank. Thanks, Paulie, for joining us. Thank you so much. And on that note, I'm going to finish. And hopefully I'll see some of you tomorrow. And as the Italians say, mille grazie. Buonanotte. Ciao.